What's up, guys? I hope you're well. I want to talk to you today a little bit about managing stress. Stress is something that's really changed in our modern world compared to what it used to be. Now, let's talk about prehistoric man or our ancestors, early versions of ourselves. Stress was pretty simple. So if you were experiencing stress, it was normally due to one of two things. One was you were unable to provide. So you were unable to find food that day for your tribe, for your family, and for yourself. Stressful situation. And number two is you're being pursued by a predator. Whatever. Saber-toothed tiger's got its eye on you, and that would be a very stressful situation. But if you weren't being pursued by the predator and you'd managed to find something for your family and for yourself to eat, the rest of your day and the rest of your time was relatively stress-free. You didn't have an awful lot else to think about or to do. The problem these days is stress is now this ever-present thing. It's there all the time. And not only is it there all the time, but it's coming from a myriad of different places. It's coming from all angles. It's attacking you all over the place. Whether it be family problems, whether it be relationship issues, things at work, things with your friends, kids, whatever you got going on in your life. We're now constantly in a state of stress. And the problem is that this stress is in the background. It's background stress. And the way you can think of it is, have you ever been in the kitchen and you've turned on the extractor fan to cook something? It's making that noise. You cook it, you sit down, you eat, and then at some point you realize you've left the fan on and you go switch it off. And just there you get that moment of, relief. You didn't even realize at the time it had been on for about half an hour. But when it switched off, you realize what it was like when it wasn't there. Another example, it's in the evening, you're sitting in the living room, you're hanging out, and at some point, someone gets up and switches off the main light and puts on a little side lamp, and your eyes go, relief, right? But you didn't realize how much it was stressing you out. We're talking stress in a slightly different sense here, till it wasn't there. And it's the same with our stress levels now. Our stress levels are, in a way, always just brimming. Think of like this cup being your stress, and it's always here, the level of stress. So when a bad situation happens, when you lose your job or someone falls sick or someone breaks up with you, it spills over and you get a reaction. And now instead of dealing with it, stoically, calmly, productively, you're reacting to it. Because you're just so stressed, because things have just blown over. And then you feel like that you don't have a good handle on things, that you don't have control over your emotions and your feelings. But the reality is you're a lot more stressed out than you realize. And then the question becomes, well, okay, but what can I do about that? How can I deal with that? How can I get a handle on it? And the real trick to it is, and the cup's probably not the best example, but think of any vessel. It's all coming in this way, okay? You need somewhere where it can come out. You need a vent, okay? You need a valve. You need something that can be opened to let some of it out and then closed. And the important thing when you think about these, vents and valves is it needs to be controlled and it needs to be specific. So what we're not doing is turning it upside down, pouring it all out. That's what happens when you get too stressed. You just explode. You start screaming, you start throwing things, you start saying things you don't mean. That's you emptying out your feelings, emptying out your stress. No, we need to find the pressure valve where we can decide how much we let out, when we let it out, and where we put it, okay? Your best bet is going to be something like exercise. And be careful here, because it has to be exercise really that you enjoy. If you don't enjoy running and you go for a run, it's going to stress you out even more. I personally can't stand running. I don't enjoy it. I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack the whole time. Whereas I could go and play a sport and play it for hours and run around for hours, and I enjoy it. I have a great time and I release my stress. So find an exercise, find an activity that you really enjoy, and I won't put any bias on you. You decide. If you enjoy running, run. If you enjoy hitting things, do some kind of boxing or martial art. If you like kicking a ball, there's plenty of those sports. You get the idea. Find something that you can do regularly that allows you to express yourself through your body. So rather than stressful situation and you express yourself through your mouth and say things that you don't mean, and your expression through your body is you being aggressive or you throwing things around or punching walls and breaking stuff, find a way to express yourself through controlled activity in a controlled environment. And you'll be amazed, again, like switching off the light in the evening, you'll be amazed how much better you feel after doing something like that. That's the first thing. The next thing is definitely to try and gain more perspective on your situation. You always want to find a way of being able to get outside of yourself. And by that I mean, when you're in the thick of it, so when you're stressed out, when you're upset, and you're in your head, that stress is all coming from you. It's, I am stressed. Why are they being like this? Why are they doing this to me? Why is this happening to me? Me. It's very introvert. You see what I mean? It's all coming at you. And that's very difficult. Imagine everyone's attacking you. Well, that's not a nice situation to be in. And the important thing that we need to be able to do is step out of ourselves. Think like the spirit leaving the body. The way I always like to, if I tell it to kids or someone a bit younger, is I want them to get in a hot air balloon and just fly up above their situation. A great way to look at this is a traffic jam. So imagine a long winding road. There's fields and valleys both sides of it, but it's wall-to-wall traffic. You're not going anywhere. And you're in the car and there's cars all in front of you. There's cars all behind you. There's nowhere to go and you're just stuck in it. And you're stressed and you're uncomfortable and all you want to do is get out of the car. We've all been there. But now imagine that you're at that same traffic jam, but you're in a hot air balloon and you're just gliding above it. And you can see all these cars and you can see all the lights, but you can also now appreciate the fields and the valleys on the left and the right. And that's what you need in your mind. It's not that you need to escape. Escapism is very different. So if I'm really stressed and I just go play PlayStation, that's not me getting out of it. That's me escaping from it. That's me, I get out of the car. Get out of the car, shut the door, walk away. You can't do that. You can do that, but it's not going to help your situation. You're not going anywhere. Yeah. And it's the same. In this situation, we need a way of looking at things from a different perspective. And this is where things like meditation really help. And that word, I know I've said it now, and some of you have gone, oh, meditation. Right? Because it conjures up certain connotations and it's got certain associations attached to it. Forget the word meditation. You need to find a way of slowing down. Yeah? Meditation is one of those ways where you stop running around and thinking and going. You just sit and breathe and relax for a moment. Okay? Yoga is another great example. Something that's a bit lower pace, a bit slower, that forces you to get out of that neurotic cycle in your mind and just bring things back into perspective. Another real great way, if you're not into all of that stuff, is go help someone who needs something more than you. There's no better way to get perspective on how good your situation is than helping someone who's less fortunate. And there's almost always someone less fortunate. go feed the homeless for a day. Okay, if you don't want to go that extreme, go help your little brother or little sister with their problems that to you now seem really small in perspective to what you're dealing with. Go help people that you can help, and it will remove you for a moment, but in a healthy way, from what's going on and what's stressing you out. So find a way to empty the pressure valve, find a way to release the stress, and then find a way to get a bit more perspective, to get a better viewing angle on everything that's going on in your life. And maybe when you get that angle, you'll appreciate, actually, you know what? All this stress isn't as stressful as I think it is. At least I'm not homeless. At least I've got both my legs. At least I haven't got cancer. Think of these things, all right? And let's say you have. I've got cancer. I'm dying. Okay? Just do a little Googling. That's all you need to do. You'll find someone who's in a worse state. You'll find someone who doesn't have their family around to support them. You'll find someone who's had it for 20 years and hasn't left the bed. Yeah, these are horrific stories. If you don't need to, don't look at them. But if you need perspective, you'll find it. There is people in the world who are far worse than you. And it doesn't mean that your problems and your stress aren't important or they don't mean anything. But it's important that we keep it in perspective. It's important that we know where it fits into things in the grand scheme. It's important for you because it's going to give you the opportunity to use the logical part of your mind and start looking for solutions to your problems, rather than using the emotional part of your mind that generally just wants to feel sorry for yourself, and it just builds even more anger and rage within you. So I hope that helps. Get a handle on your stress, find a way to deal with it, find a way to expel it, and find a way to get better perspective on what's going on. And as always, take care of yourself.